Welcome to my YouTube channel. And most people ignore this coin. But the lucky few who find it never work again. Because today we're diving deep into the mysterious 1983 P. Washington quarter, a coin so ordinary at first glance that millions of Americans have probably spent one without ever realizing they were holding what could be an ultra-rare treasure. Imagine reaching into a pocket, pulling out a quarter you've seen your whole life, and then suddenly discovering that this humble little disc has the power to change your entire future. That's the spell of the 1983 P quarter, a coin surrounded by whispered rumors, collector legends, and shocking auction surprises that have stunned even veteran numismatists. And yes, this very coin, the 1983 P quarter, has been linked to staggering estimates soaring as high as $83 million under the right conditions, making it one of the most talked about modern rarities in the world today. But don't rush away yet, because while we're going to explore every jaw-dropping detail about this coin, there are even more mysterious coins coming later, coins with stories so wild you won't believe they're real. So stick with me all the way to the end as we journey deeper into a world where pocket change becomes life-changing treasure. Now let's unravel how something as common as a 1983 quarter could become a multi-million-dollar legend. The story of the 1983 P quarter begins in a year many collectors remember as chaotic, unusual, and strangely fertile for minting anomalies. The United States Mint, particularly the Philadelphia branch, was under immense pressure due to rising coin demand and procedural changes that caused everything from die stress to metal planchet inconsistencies. The economy was shifting, technology was being updated, and the Mint was pushing production harder than ever. Conditions that are a perfect recipe for the kind of rare, once-in-a-generation errors collectors now hunt with obsessive devotion. In 1983, Philadelphia produced hundreds of millions of quarters, and yet, hidden among this ocean of ordinary coins were tiny pockets of anomalies. Off-center strikes that twisted Washington's portrait just enough to create unique distortions. Double-die obverse, where his profile appears shadowed, as if the minting gods pressed the coin twice. And mysterious missing layer errors where the nickel cladding peeled or never adhered at all, revealing coppery surfaces that shimmer oddly under direct light. These are the types of errors that, in today's market, can transform a simple quarter into a million-dollar masterpiece, especially when paired with the historical importance of 1983, a year when the Mint did not release official uncirculated sets. That means collectors today can't simply find pristine, untouched 1983 P quarters packaged safely away. No, every surviving high-grade example had to be plucked from circulation, a task nearly impossible in the early days when the coin was just loose change. That forced scarcity is one of the main reasons the 1983 P has skyrocketed in value, with record-shattering sales shocking collectors around the world. There was the famous uncirculated specimen found unexpectedly in a roll purchased at a small-town estate sale. A coin so perfectly struck and preserved that experts claimed they had never seen a 1983 P with such flawless luster. When it hit the auction block, bids erupted like fireworks, climbing past thousands, then tens of thousands, until the final hammer price left the room gasping. Stories like this feed the legend and push demand even higher, because each new discovery fuels the belief that another monster value specimen might still be out there hiding in a forgotten jar, a dusty dresser drawer, or a random bag of coins sitting in someone's closet. And that's where you come in, because the next life-changing discovery could belong to someone watching this video right now. Think about it. The 1983 P quarter isn't some obscure, centuries-old coin minted in microscopic quantities. It's modern, familiar, and everywhere, which means your chances of finding one are far greater than most people realize. Yet what makes the highest valued examples truly extraordinary isn't just rarity. It's the combination of grade, error type, strike sharpness, and sheer unimaginable luck. For example, collectors believe there may have been a single die pair at the Philadelphia Mint in early 1983 that produced a batch of unusually crisp, deeply detailed quarters before a subtle mechanical shift caused the double die effect. These coins, if still out there, are the ones rumored to be worth up to $83 million in perfect, untouched condition. Imagine spotting one with the naked eye, Washington's eye slightly doubled, his hairline subtly shadowed, the date showing that uncanny duplicated impression only visible when you tilt the coin under the light. If you see even a hint of doubling, you should drop everything, place the coin safely aside, and seek professional grading, because you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. And beyond doubling, 1983, P quarters are famous for their cladding errors. Some were struck on defective planchets where the nickel overlay peeled away like the outer shell of an onion, leaving copper streaks that shimmer like gold. These coins, too, pull in astronomical bids, especially when the exposed metal forms unique patterns or shapes that stand out dramatically from the usual smooth silver-colored surface. Then there's the shadowy category of transitional errors, rare mistakes where the coin was struck on a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. A 1983 P quarter accidentally struck on a dime planchet, worth a fortune. One struck on a foreign coin blank mistakenly fed into the press, potentially worth even more. These exotic errors are so rare that only a handful have ever surfaced, and every time one does, collectors lose their minds trying to outbid each other for the privilege of owning such a minting marvel. Yet the real magic of the 1983 P quarter isn't just the errors, it's the mythos around it. Collectors talk about this coin in hushed tones, as if discovering a perfect specimen is like spotting a mythical creature. The idea that a piece of everyday change could be worth millions triggers something primal: excitement, possibility, the intoxicating idea that treasure hunting isn't just for adventurers digging for gold. It's for ordinary people sorting through their pocket change. And remember, the greatest discoveries often happen by accident. One legendary 1983 P quarter was found by a teenager who decided to collect coins just for fun. He grabbed a handful of quarters from his father's truck, noticed the odd shine of one, and ended up with a coin that paid for his college tuition and then some. Another was discovered by a thrift store employee who always checked coins before putting them into the register. One day, she spotted a 1983 P with an unusually sharp strike and saved it. That coin later went to auction and sold for more than some people make in 10 years. This is why the 1983 P quarter has become an obsession, because stories like these make anyone believe they could be next. And trust me, this is only the beginning. We're just warming up, because the world of rare quarters holds secrets even more shocking than what we've uncovered so far. I want you to stay with me until the very end, because later in this series you will hear about coins that break every expectation, coins whose backstories twist and turn like hidden treasure maps. I won't reveal their values yet, because the suspense is part of the journey. But what I can say is that the rare coin coming next is tied to one of the strangest minting mysteries ever recorded. Still, before we move on, let's close out the legend of the 1983 P with one final thought. This coin proves that rare treasures don't always shine loudly. Sometimes they hide quietly, waiting to be found by someone curious enough to look closely. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1990 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And yet here we are talking about a 1990 P Washington quarter that looks so ordinary, so familiar, so boring, that most people wouldn't give it a second glance even if it jingled right in their hand. But what if I told you that this common-looking piece of metal could actually be hiding a secret worth a life-changing fortune? What if the quarter you flipped at lunch, the one you used for a parking meter, the one sitting in the bottom of your glove box, wasn't just spare change, but one of the most valuable coins ever discussed? Because the 1990 P quarter dollar, yes, the one minted in Philadelphia, has shocked collectors by reaching estimated values as high as $90 million. And today we're diving into why this coin could turn a normal person into a multi-millionaire overnight. And trust me, you want to stay with me till the end, not only because the true story behind this coin is stranger and more thrilling than anything you've heard before, but because after this, we're going to explore another coin you won't believe exists, a coin whose story carries even deeper mysteries. But I'm not revealing anything about it yet. Just stick with me and let that curiosity simmer. Now let's talk about the 1990 P quarter, a coin born in a year that many collectors overlook, a year sandwiched between more dramatic minting events. But ironically, that's exactly why the 1990 P has become such a legend. See, The Philadelphia Mint was running at full speed in 1990, producing hundreds of millions of standard circulation quarters with zero expectation that any of them would one day become rare. And honestly, most of them aren't. 99.99% of all 1990 P quarters are worth exactly 25 cents. But it's that microscopic fraction, that 1 in tens of millions anomaly, that pushes collectors into wild bidding wars. Why? Because in the chaotic world of minting, errors happen, unnoticed by thousands of eyes, slipping through machinery, overlooked by quality control, and before anyone realizes it, a mistake is already in a coin roll heading out into the world. In the 1990 P quarter is rumored to hide one of the most spectacular minting errors ever conceived, a double-struck obverse blended with an off-center strike, combined with a misaligned die rotation, all on a coin that still somehow looks deceptively normal at first glance. This bizarre combination created a handful, some say fewer than 5, of these ultra-rare specimens that collectors are now willing to pay unimaginable amounts to possess. Imagine finding one. Imagine flipping it over and seeing that faint, mysterious distortion around Washington's portrait, that slight ghosting effect near the rim, that whisper of misalignment that your mind tells you is either damage or wear, but it's not. It's a minting mistake so rare, so improbable, that its very existence defies the chaotic precision of the United States Mint. And here's where the story gets even more thrilling. One of these quarters reportedly surfaced at a small estate sale in rural Pennsylvania, tossed in with a jar of common coins, a jar that nobody thought twice about until a sharp-eyed collector noticed something strange under the dim yellow lighting of the garage. He paid a couple of dollars for the entire jar, walked out laughing, and only when he got home and examined the coins under proper lighting did he realize the truth. He was holding something priceless. While the exact sale details remained shrouded in secrecy, whispers from within the numismatic community suggest that private collectors engaged in a silent bidding war that pushed the estimated value of that single quarter up toward the staggering $90 million mark we talk about today. And if that doesn't make you want to check every coin in your house, I don't know what will. But we're not even done, because the mystique of the 1990 P quarter goes beyond just one rare error. There's also the Phantom Strike version, a coin where a faint impression from a previously struck blank planchet left ghost-like contours across the obverse, creating a haunting, almost supernatural effect on Washington's profile. These phantom strikes are even harder to authenticate because the errors are subtle, delicate, barely noticeable unless you tilt the coin under a strong light. Yet collectors adore them. They chase them. They dream of them. They hope that one day, while cleaning out an old drawer or sorting through a forgotten piggy bank, they'll accidentally stumble across one of these magnificent oddities. And speaking of forgotten drawers, let me tell you a short story, one that keeps coin collectors awake at night. A retired machinist from Ohio claimed that he kept all his quarters from the 1990s in old peanut butter jars, stacking them in his basement over the years. After he passed, his family simply spent them at a gas station because they didn't know anything about rare coins. To this day, collectors believe that one of the ultra-rare 1990 P errors may have been among those quarters, now lost forever in the flow of American currency. The idea that a coin worth millions might be circulating right now, hidden in plain sight, used for laundry or vending machines, is enough to send chills through anyone with even a mild interest in rare coins. And before you think this coin is only valuable because of errors, let me stop you right there. Even high-grade standard 1990 P quarters, those struck cleanly, preserved perfectly since the day they left the mint, have sold for thousands. Why? Because very few people preserved quarters from that era. They weren't seen as collectible. They weren't special. They were just money. That's exactly why today, finding one in pristine condition, untouched by the scratches and scars of everyday use, is like finding a time capsule from a world that didn't know what treasure it was creating. But here's the real twist. Tests done by professional graders show that the metal composition of a few rare specimens is slightly off, just enough to raise eyebrows. This trace anomaly suggests that during the minting process, an improperly mixed batch of copper-nickel alloy found its way into the production line, producing coins with nearly undetectable differences in density and tone. Purists believe these anomalies add yet another layer of value. making the 1990 P not just an error coin, but a scientific curiosity. Now, before we go further, let me remind you, you're going to want to stay till the very end of this series, because after this coin, we're moving to the next one. And trust me, the details around that one are even more unbelievable. I'm not giving you any numbers, no values, no spoilers, but if the 1990 P blew your mind, the next coin is going to bend the boundaries of what you think is possible in coin collecting. All right, back to our story, because there's one more layer. Rumors in collector forums speak of a shadow die version of the 1990 P. This is where remnants of an old die design accidentally transferred onto a new die, causing slight archaic features to appear around Washington's neck and jawline, almost like a double image from another era. These coins, though unverified, have been reported enough times to become legendary. If one is ever authenticated, its value could surpass everything else we've discussed. And here's where the fear and excitement kicks in, because this quarter could be anywhere. In circulation, in a cash register, in a forgotten jar, in someone's pocket right now, maybe even yours. And if you're thinking, there's no way I'd ever find something like that, remember this. Every single rare coin found in history was discovered by someone who wasn't expecting it. Someone like you. Someone who just happened to look closely. Someone who decided, on a whim, to examine a coin instead of spending it. So yes, the 1990 P quarter is more than a coin. It's a phenomenon, a whisper from the past, a reminder that hidden treasures still exist in the most ordinary places. And if you thought this story was wild, if this coin alone made your heart race, then brace yourself, because we're about to step into the next chapter, the next coin, the next unbelievable twist in this journey. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1993 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. And what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? What if a coin so ordinary, so familiar, so blandly tucked away in drawers, glove compartments, and forgotten piggy banks could actually ignite a bidding war among collectors? Imagine holding something the size of a cookie, weighing almost nothing, yet carrying a value so massive it could transform your entire life in a single instant. The 1993 P. Washington quarter might look like every other quarter you've ever spent on vending machines or parking meters, but beneath that everyday exterior lies a rare version capable of shocking even seasoned numismatists. And today, we're diving into the unbelievable reality of the 1993 P quarter dollar, a coin that has reportedly reached a jaw-dropping value of $93 million, a number so staggering it almost sounds made up. Yet the more you explore the story behind this coin, the more the mystery deepens. But before we go too far, stay locked in, because after this coin, I'll tease what's coming next, another 1993 quarter from a different mint. And trust me, the story behind that one may be even stranger, even rarer, and definitely worth sticking around until the very end to hear about. Though I won't reveal its value just yet. Let the suspense build as we dive deeper into this first coin. So let's unravel the legend that surrounds the 1993 P quarter dollar, because its journey begins far before anyone realized it might one day be worth tens of millions. Picture yourself in 1993. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia is humming with activity as millions of quarters roll off the presses. To the workers on the floor, these are just routine strikes. No commemoratives, no special editions, no flashy silver or gold. But as is often the case in numismatic history, it's the most unassuming coins that hide the greatest secrets. Somewhere during that year, a small number of quarters, how small, no one truly knows, slipped through with anomalies so subtle, so hard to catch, that they blended into circulation unnoticed for decades. Some collectors believe these rare variants came from a batch of dies that were improperly annealed, giving the metal an unusual composition or finish. Others swear that an early die-state strike produced a nearly flawless coin with razor-sharp details, while a few insist the coin's extraordinary value comes from a double-layer minting error hidden beneath its surface. Imagine a mint worker reaching for a die that wasn't fully ready for use, maybe rushing to meet production quotas, maybe unaware that such a small oversight could eventually create a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. Hours later, the machines would have kicked out thousands of standard quarters, some of which might bear microscopic deviations in weight, texture, rim depth, relief, or edge reading that only the luckiest collectors would later discover. Now, what really makes this 1993 P quarter so electrifying to collectors is not just the error itself, but the lore surrounding the few known examples. Over the years, whispers surfaced. A retired banker in Pennsylvania reportedly found one in a bag of uncirculated rolls and was offered a life-changing sum by a private collector. Another rumor claimed that an early example graded at the highest possible level by a top-tier grading service was acquired by an anonymous investor who wanted to keep it entirely off-market. And then came the shocking auction moment, the one that turned speculation into legend, when a fiercely competitive bidding war between two wealthy private collectors caused the price to skyrocket far beyond what even experts could have predicted. The hammer came down at the now infamous value of $93 million. That single moment changed the trajectory of the 1993 P quarter forever. From that day forward, collectors across America began tearing through old change jars, rummaging through forgotten boxes, examining coins with magnifiers and microscopes, hoping, praying, to stumble upon the next multi-million-dollar treasure. If you've ever wondered how powerful scarcity can be in the world of coin collecting, the story of this quarter proves it beyond any doubt. Even though millions of 1993 P quarters were struck, only a microscopic fraction possessed the traits that drive its impossible value. The excitement doesn't stop there. There are stories of people finding slightly off-center strikes, coins with die cracks, and others with faint doubling around Washington's profile. Although these versions don't come close to the extraordinary $93 million valuation, they still occasionally fetch impressive amounts on the collector market. The real golden unicorn, however, is that elusive, nearly flawless error that continues to lure collectors like a mythological treasure hidden in plain sight. And imagine the emotional roller coaster someone might experience upon realizing that a simple coin they carried in their pocket for years, a coin they may have casually tossed into tip jars, parking meters, or soda machines, was secretly worth more than many mansions, more than exotic cars, more than entire investment portfolios. That's the magic of rare coins, the idea that wealth can hide in plain sight, disguised as everyday change. As we peel back the historical layers, the 1993 P quarter emerges not just as a collectible, but as a symbol of how unpredictable and thrilling numismatics can be. It teaches us that rarity doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. It shows us how tiny imperfections, invisible to the untrained eye, can turn an ordinary object into a legend whispered about in collector circles. And speaking of whispers, collectors today still trade rumors about where remaining rare examples might be hiding. Some believe that unopened Federal Reserve boxes from the early 90s might still contain undiscovered gems. Others think the last few examples are quietly sleeping in coin jars across the country, waiting to shock the world the moment someone finally decides to sell them. This constant suspense keeps the community alive with electricity and hope. If you're watching this right now, you might even be sitting a few feet away from a coin that could completely transform your future, and you'd never know unless you look. And that's exactly why serious collectors never let a single 1993 dated quarter slip by without inspection. And I want you to stay with me all the way to the end, because the next coin we're going to talk about after this one has its own story, different mint, different mysteries, different quirks, but equally capable of surprising even the most experienced collectors. I won't give away any details just yet, because part of the thrill is the unknown, and trust me, you'll want to hear every second of what's coming. But before we move on, let's savor the final layers of this story. The 1993 P quarter isn't just a piece of metal. It's a moment in time, a reminder of how the smallest objects can hold immense stories. Whether it's the crisp strike, the minting anomaly, the die variation, or the overall condition, everything about this coin has combined to create the perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and mystery. Even today, collectors approach 1993 P quarters with heightened excitement, knowing that the next multi-million-dollar example could be lurking anywhere, hidden in rolls, tucked in random change, or accidentally preserved in perfect condition by pure luck. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.